Once again, a warm welcome to everyone to the fifth edition of MOBEXX 2021. Before I leave the virtual stage, let me welcome Bimal Kartheek Rebba for his keynote address on future proofing your social commerce strategy. Over to you, Bimal.
Thanks, Vijaya, for the kind introduction, and also thank you for inviting me to the MOBEXX Fifth Summit. I should, before starting my keynote address, I should thank you all folks for on year basis building this ecosystem together, getting all the trends in front of the best marketing minds and sharing the latest trends, right? So today, without much delay, what I'm going to talk about is one more growth story. I think Vijaya has talked about OTTs. She's talked about the rise of mobile. And one of the sub-segment I'm going to cover today is around rise of social commerce, right? Why it is important for brands to participate in social commerce as a journey, and how consumers are increasingly adopting social commerce as a go-to platform for anything lifestyle, right? So let me quickly share some slides with you. Is this visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So today I'm going to briefly touch upon what social commerce is and why all brands today have to future-proof themselves by involving in social commerce. As you, Vijaya, rightly pointed out in your initial address, this is a growth story. This is how the future of shopping would look like. And it is at the inflection point, and it is very important for us to all understand what social commerce is and why it is very important for us, right? So just to talk about social commerce, why we think it's the future of shopping, right? I think a decade back when e-commerce was being introduced into the ecosystem, most of the first India One, which was trying to engage with e-commerce platforms, they had trust issues, right? And those trust issues in the e-commerce 1.0 were typically addressed by innovation in payment infrastructure, such as cash on delivery, or innovation in supply chain, right? Ensuring that the delivery happens within 2 days to 3 days. A lot of investment was made into these two infrastructure to enable trust for India One. But as we move, because since we're talking about a growth trajectory for people purchasing online, most of Indians are still not purchasing online. In fact, 2 out of 3 Indians who are online today still do not transact, right? And because now there's one more layer of trust that we all have to work together for, is about finding right products, right? Now, we've addressed the payment and logistic infrastructure, but the next kind of a trust infrastructure that we have to develop is to enable people to discover products in the language that they understand the most, right? Or they're interacting with the most. So that is one of the key levers that will determine the success of social commerce going forward. And whom are we addressing? Since again we are talking about the growth trajectory, right? One of the key things that we've got to understand is most of the innovations that we have done today has invited the first 100 million consumers online to purchase, right? And the first set of the journey is done. But as we talk about the growth journey, the second part, we are trying to address the India 2 cohorts. And who are these India 2 cohorts, right? If you talk about India 2 audiences, typically they typically have a disposable income of $1,400 and above to $2,500. They consume most of the content in the language that they speak and understand, vernacular audiences. And most importantly, if you look at the size, it's almost 3 to 3.5 times the India One audiences who's already shopping today. And if you look at the total market size of this audience also, it's twice the market size of India One audience, which is shopping today. So this is the cohort, this is the growth journey, and these are the audiences that we're going to invite online by building this trust platforms through social commerce. And just a sneak peek of how large the audience set is, right? Today, as we speak, there are 100 million users online for shopping and transacting. But think about the users that we all are missing, right? We've still not built platforms that are accessible to them, right? If you look at it, in totality, there are 730 million internet users. But if you look at it, right, there close to 450 of them are actively using social media on day-to-day basis. 500 million of them are actually consuming video content online, and most of them around 530 million of them are consuming content in their own language, right? So this is a kind of an audience that we are missing, which is almost 5 to 7 times the size of audience that is transacting today, right? And one of the key beneficiaries of inviting or engaging with these audiences would be D2C brands, right, which are growing today. By tapping into these audiences through social commerce platforms, they'll be able to better address their needs and also reach out to them at a faster way. Now, as I talked about these audiences, I think there are 3 very key important levers through which we can tap into the audiences, through which we can invite this audience to come online and engage in transactions. And the 3 important levers are, being usage of voice and vernacular, usage of video, and usage of social shopping. These 3 levers going forward would be very important for any brand or platform to ensure that they're able to tap the audience, the 500 to 700 million audiences who are available today. And as I talked about, most of these audiences today consume video content. In fact, the number of audiences who consume video content is far greater than the number of audiences who are on social media as a platform, right? So chat is number 1 utility tool, but followed by chat is obviously the video. So video has to be a key strategy for brands that are trying to future-proof themselves and also be future-ready, right? And the other part, as we talked about, is obviously the intersection of video and vernacular. It's just not about being online and available in video, but it's also about being vernacular, right? So and being mobile first. So if these 3 themes are met together, and if you're at this intersection at this point of time, or developing your strategies that are in intersection of these 3 pillars, I think you're future proofing yourself, right? And as I talked about it again, the audience is 3 times the size. So even a small delta change in terms of a reach would give you more a greater impact than what you have today, getting to only English audience in India. And if you talk about, if you double tap on the audiences who are engaging with social commerce, who are these people, right? And why do they want to engage with social commerce? If you look at it, typically these cohorts, they are actually spending more than 2 hours of their daily time on social media. They are spending time on social media, video apps, and chat apps, right? So that means they're highly engaged. They spend most of the time online, watching videos or interacting with other people online, right? And second is, they do understand what transaction, e-commerce transaction is. They do understand if they have to purchase a product, they can purchase online. But what is stopping them is obviously the trust. What is stopping them is the ability to understand the product in their own language. And how is the buying pattern behavior? If you look at it, most of them do not know what to purchase. So that's why, using video, influencer, and content, the brands or the platform should always communicate to the end user in terms of what they are viewing at this point of time. Help them imagine the problem statement also, and also plug in the solution through the products or services that they have to offer. And most importantly, they have very low stickiness. That means they are highly experimentative in nature. If they like what they see, they do not hold back in buying that product. But if they do not like the product, they do not shy away from switching the loyalty to another brand. So they have a very low stickiness. That means as we move forward, most of the brands should have a very real-time communication strategy. That means on day-to-day basis, reaching out to this consumer through their social media handles, through video content, right? And which is way beyond your ATL campaigns, right? These are real-time strategies, and communicating to them on a daily basis why their brand or their product is important in their life, right? So that would ensure a greater loyalty from these consumers that we talked about. And what do they buy? And most importantly, if you look at it, right, fashion is the most frequent purchase category for these cohorts. They get influenced and they want to engage, buy products under fashion as a category. And in fact, it is preferred by more than 1/3 of the user cohorts that we're talking about, and which is followed by beauty and personal care and food and groceries, right? And if you look at it again, going back to the context that I've said before, trust is a key pillar for them. So that means the only way you can reach out to them is by enabling trust. The only way you can engage with them is to be in video and in vernacular. And the categories, as I talked about, fashion, home decor, and beauty, personal care, are the lowest hanging fruits. And if any D2C brands today are trying to use these platforms, and are in these categories, social commerce has to be a key, strategy for them in the next 2 to 3 years. One of the ways we do it on Trell, it's a very simple user journey. User experience is also of utmost importance. We break down the complex journeys into easy video and vernacular journeys, where you can actually watch a video from your favorite influencer on the app. If you like what you're seeing, you can quickly add the product from the video within itself to your cart and buy. So the number of steps from discovery to purchase are substantially reduced. The engagement is higher on this because it's video. People want to watch videos a lot, mobile first videos a lot. Second is the communication is easier, and being in vernacular, they understand it the most. So user experience is of also utmost importance. Even if the brand is trying to engage in social commerce, choose platforms that have a great user experience and very small and consolidated user journeys that could lead to better conversions over the time. One of the key things of Trell is also about it, as we talked about. We are at the intersection of video and vernacular. As we talked about, India 2 is a cohort that we're catering to. Our vision is to empower Indians to have better lifestyle choices, and we do this by helping them discover content under various lifestyle interests and categories, ranging from beauty, fashion, home decor, DIY. But not only that, we also provide them the ability to purchase those products and services directly from the platform itself, right? So one of the key pillars for us in order to achieve our mission statement are influencers. We train and groom a lot of influencers across India 1, India 2, and India 3 markets to have subject matter expertise, to come in front of the camera and talk to the end consumers on how to use a product, why to use a product, and also influence them to make that purchase on the platform. As I talked about, again, summarizing the 3 pillars that we talked about, trust is the basic hygiene. All the brands should ensure that while they address these cohorts, they always talk about why the story of the brand. Second is trust is infectious. If people buy your products because of trust, the word of mouth is stronger. The share of voice is now with influencers. That means they're going to, more and more influencers would come online and talk about your brand because everyone believes in your brand. So this becomes a hygiene going forward for brands if they want to have tier 2 as an important strategy. And obviously, if you look at it, one of the key things is communities. If you look at the value addition by using social commerce, is that you get the ability to add online communities. Now, going forward, you'll have a lot of digital societies being created. And if your brand has a digital society created that is driven by influencers and your users alike, they become your strongest proponents of the brands going forward. And also engage with platforms that have a very good tool for discoverability. So summarizing what I've discussed about future proofing strategy for the brands, you need to have a very strong social commerce strategy. This is going to be the future of shopping. You need to build a experiential shopping platform. That means engage in video and vernacular. Make sure you go way beyond just photo cataloging, because you got to talk your story to the end consumer. You need to have tailored pricing and value propositions. In different markets, different product, different SKUs work, and also different pricing points. So you've got to be personalizing your offerings to these tier 2 consumers, which is going to be their next growth market, right? Obviously, you got to have a social commerce ready supply chain, which would also start moving towards group buying in the future. And most importantly, you got to have a great content strategy, and you have to invest all your energies and into building digital societies or communities who will be your brand ambassadors forever. So these are some of the key takeaways for future proofing. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Bimal. Thank you so much. That was an insightful presentation that we saw. You highlighted some of the important aspects of social commerce and the way ahead.